Welcome to the World United. Welcome to the World United.
Welcome back. And if I can have all of our panelists wake up your videos, we're all going to be awake. And let's see, let's make sure we are all here. Yes, yes, yes. And let me see. Jonathan, is Jonathan here? Did he step away? Just wanted to make sure I know who all is with us. Okay, I think Jonathan may have had to step away. Hopefully he'll join us, he'll rejoin us, that would be great. I would love to hear his answers to some of these questions, because we got some fun questions to, to address. So, those of you who are watching and around the world, this has been such an amazing feast, a spiritual feast. So if you haven't gone back and listened to each of these presentations, they're in TED Talk style, 15 minutes, and just packed with amazing, powerful wisdom and applicable information. So please go back and listen to them. And at this point, I would love to, so each of you who have been on today have shared some amazing things about your own journey. And we often ask the question, and it's been asked today in the session, to ask yourself, who am I? And why am I here? I mean, what a powerful thing just to sit back and meditate on that and figure that out. And then to be able to verbalize that. And so we ask people to actually, write it down in your journal and figure that out. And it'll evolve, right? I mean, it wasn't the same 10 years ago as it is now. Your answer as to your understanding and your evolution of how you would answer those questions. So at this point on your journey, will you please very simply answer those for us? Who are you and why are you here? And because we often ask others to do that, and then we actually don't hear our mentor share what their answers are about that. So I'd love to hear that from each of you. And actually, let's just go across. I have the order here. Let's just go across with Cecily, Candy, Gina, Carrie, and yeah, I think that's all that's here of our speakers right now. So in that order, would you please answer, who am I and why am I here? Cecily.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, thanks to everyone for joining today, because each of the speakers that have spoken in our panel have touched on aspects of the why I'm here now. So thank you to each of you. You've reconnected me with those, that thread of my own journey. Candy, from my earliest years, I listened to those comments from others, adults, and I just held to my own inner knowing. So from that own inner knowing, I can speak to Jonathan's experience, his precious life journey to me of looking outside himself for what the world was telling him as a male. What he was seeing was important for him to be experiencing. So early on in my professional path, I had the opportunity to work at Harvard Business School, or serve there. I think of it as service because I gained so much. And I met the titans of industry at the time. And at the penultimate point of their celebration as alumni coming back for the 25th reunion, here were people standing in the Dean's Garden, lush setting. And I'm standing at the ginormous shrimp bowl thinking, oh, I'm going to hear all these golden nuggets from all these people who are on the cover of Forbes magazine and all that, my guru. Of their lived experience. They talked about the relationships that had been challenged or broken along the way. They talked about the family members, the children they didn't know. I owned that. I stood there and I felt that. I felt my heart expand. I felt that my knowing as a child of seeing this dis-ease in our culture and the acquisitive nature, the drive for something outside of us, I felt that really deeply in my heart in the presence of these very beautiful human beings. So that started my own expansion of my own compassionate journey to be of service for my own inner listening and development, as well as to offer that safe space of listening inside for others as well. So thank you. I appreciate being honored here today to speak again of that, my commitment to be of service to others on their journey of just amazing evolution as we move along this 3D path. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Candy, would you like to share with us, who are you and why are you here?
Thank you. Yes. To put it very simply, I would say I am a champion for humanity. I am a vessel to help amplify voices that needed to be heard. And I am a lighthouse for those who need a path to help guide them. And so what I'm here to do is truly be a catalyst to lift the level of leadership, and create or disrupt how we look at leadership and create a new definition around what that looks like moving forward.
Beautiful. Thank you. Ah, that's wonderful. That's great. Great. Yeah, right from the heart. Gina.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, just distilling down that question, who am I? Love. That's the essence. And if I think about, I guess, the skill sets that are essentially Gina in this lifetime, that consciousness, one of them is seeing the light in others and reflecting that back for them. Additionally, one would be what I call midwifing in the new paradigm, which means, as many of us, I think, who are drawn to this conference realize that collectively as human beings, our species is having a more spiritual evolution compared to the Darwinism evolution of our physicality. And so consciousness is currently evolving, and I call that the new paradigm. So that's one of my other purposes this go around, is to support in midwifing in the new paradigm. Thank you, Sean.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you. Yes. And Carrie, please.
Well, that's an interesting question, isn't it? So I could approach this from a couple different angles. So I would say, first and foremost, I'm a soul on a soul's curriculum, a journey to explore whatever I need to explore to grow and evolve my consciousness. And a couple pathways in I have for that is my core wound. I believe that our core wounds leads to our dharma. And so my core wound is really around receiving, mother love, receiving nurturing. And so we always give what we haven't received, and that's how we receive it, by giving it. And so I give a lot of nurturing energy out there because that was my core wound. That's what I was here to work on. So I love that. And I love all the tools we have right now at our fingertips to discover ourselves. We have human design type. We have the gene keys Richard Rudd has put together. We have so many beautiful tools for knowing our purpose. And if I look at the gene keys, my purpose is to explore the pathway from judgment into integrity and to perfection. And so perfecting this human experience, and perfection is infinite. So, I have a lot of work to do there, right? It's going to be keep going and going and going. So I feel ultimately, if I just distill it down, it's like love exploring itself. Like, I love what Gina said, it's love exploring all the facets of love. That's what we're here to do. And I'm doing my little facet on the diamond, and it's fun.
Beautiful. Very beautiful. Thank you all. I think it's important that especially the youth. I imagine there will be a lot of youth watching this segment, and so with that in mind, I'm going to focus the next couple of questions on the youth and on the rising generation, just to get some ideas from you leaders in this. So it was mentioned, I love the mention of this culture of entitlement, which is true, as a lot of the upcoming generation haven't dealt with a lot of, you know, war or, you know, the struggles, you know, deep depression of some of the past generations. And it is interesting that if my child doesn't get a superior rating, then they're not good enough, and they have to get straight A's, and that's what is expected. And if my teacher gives my child anything less, then there's something wrong with the teacher, not my child. And the rate of debt is going up so much because they live in a beautiful, nice home, many, and you know, and what their parents and grandparents fought for decades, and then they expect to have that coming straight out of college. And so they'll go into deep debt to be able to live that lifestyle that their family was living right out of college, and not willing to go through the process of living in a bit of poverty, struggling, and not being in debt because, well, I'm just going to live that lifestyle. And so the debt is skyrocketing over the past, you know, generation, basically, you know, the past 20 years. So I'm curious to know from you, how can we counter this? What are some of the things we might be able to do to, as we teach and coach and mentor, and as parents raising this coming generation, how can we counter this this culture of entitlement, or do we need to? So I'm gonna let you jump in as you feel inspired. I'm not gonna give any order, so please step up and address this as you feel.
Hi, Sean, this is Gina. Thank you for asking that question. As a parent to two teenagers, 16 and 18, the answer to that question for me is modeling. And if I see entitlement in them, it's just because I have it in myself, whether I'm consciously aware of that or not. I'm literally not able to see something outside in my world unless I have some relationship to that internally. So when I do, and trust me, this has happened, when I have seen one of, you know, our kids doing something that to me feels entitled, I get triggered and I go into my, you know, not best self place. And then I notice I am out of that place, get back in. And then the next thing I have to do is just like, okay, where have I not reconciled my version of being entitled, either as a kid or as an adult? And if that was reconciled, or whether I can do it in the moment or not, you know, how would I be? And then be that for him or her. And that I'd say is my response. Is it's my responsibility as an adult, whether I'm actually a parent or not, to model the world that I want to live in. And that really is filled with love, because if I don't model it, then how are those other how are our youth, essentially, who are looking up to us as models, going to be able to create that for themselves? Thank you.
Beautiful. I see elements of Ho'oponopono in that. Of I don't know if you've read that or know of that, but you know, heal it within yourself.
This morning. I practiced
yes.
it this morning.
Lovely. Yes, heal it within yourself, and then watch the ripples and see where the seeds truly are. I love that. Beautiful. Carrie, you raised your hand right off the bat. Would you like to step in?
I did. Yeah, I would. So my journey has included divorce, and I know a lot of people are experiencing this paradigm. The relationship, the primary family relationship, breaks apart. So although our children are not necessarily experiencing war conditions outside in the community, they're experiencing it at home. And they're experiencing it in their bodies in the closest, most intimate way they could possibly experience it. And one of the weapons of this war is prosperity, materialistic prosperity. And so the parent that has it lords it over the parent that doesn't have it. And that's sort of how you curry favor in order to, you know, to win over the love of the child. So I would encourage parents to not play this game, and because it's very damaging. And as the parent who is awake to this, You can refuse to play that game, and it is a very tough road to walk. But the lesson is that there's something way more important and worth more than gold in the lesson of family and connection and love and unconditional love and support with that is gold, that is more important than the money and the materialism and the things that somebody can buy you to win their favor. And to hold strong in that and not become a part of that game. So I did that, and out of necessity, mostly because my spirit called me into my spirit purpose, which didn't make the same amount of money as my high tech job in Silicon Valley. So I ran into this head on, and it was quite a shock. And I also felt outraged, and I felt like, wow, this is unfair. But I had to also, like Gina mentioned, look within myself and see how had I created that paradigm of material gifting, to win favor and love earlier in my life. And when I woke up, I realized I was no longer the way I wanted to behave with my children, that there was a deeper, more profound way to teach them how to interact as a family. And I'll just say, part of my waking up was traveling to Peru and visiting with the Caro people in the mountains, the Andes Mountains, and watching how important family is to them. Family is the most important thing to these people. It's the most sacred. And the Caro people have many, many rocks on the outside, all around them, rocks everywhere, because they live high in the Andes Mountains. And as I was talking with the shaman this last week when I was on retreat to Peru, I told him, I said, listen, the Caro people have all these rocks on the outside. Western people have these rocks on the inside. Our families are broken, and we don't know how to repair it. And we need your medicine. You have got the medicine we need. And you're wanting what you perceive our medicine is, this money. And I suggest to you that your medicine is the greater medicine, and that we've followed a path that doesn't work for humanity. So it's back to gratitude. It's back to thankfulness for what is, and thankfulness for all of the moments, even the rocks inside, thankfulness for all of that, because it's bringing us back home to ourselves and bringing us back home to the human family. And so I think we have a great deal to learn from people who have been living in impoverished ways on the planet. They have a greater gift than many of us in the Western culture with all of our money and resources have. And so I think it's a shift to teach our children about this, and to stop, to notice whenever you're gifting some material thing, why are you gifting it? What's the purpose of it? Because there's a greater picture here, and it's the heart of our children. It's the soul, it's the integrity.
Beautifully put. Lovely. And I 100% agree with that. I am one of 10 siblings, and 2 of them are divorced, and I have 46 nieces and nephews. So yeah, I'm seeing it right in front of me every day. So thank you for that. Yeah, who would like to, Candy, would you like to step in?
Yeah, I absolutely love what both Gina and Carrie said, especially around modeling and some of what we need to heal in our family dynamic and how we're using things. Because I think as we look at, the 2 things we leave as legacy right now, especially in North America, are either debt or fear. And we leave this whole story and this unwinding that needs to take place. The other thing that I really want to look at is I think there's another layer to this as well. And one of it is, again, and it goes back to some of what I said even in my talk, it's disrupting how we look at leadership. We have created a place where we think leadership is this notion of you were born with being a leader, or you're going to be made and you've been dictated and kind of blessed as being a leader. And I think what we need to do is start to realize that that definition of leadership is on every one of us, that every single one of us has the opportunity to stand in that light and understand that with everything we think, everything we say, everything we do, there is there's an opposite reaction, right? There's a consequence. And what we're not teaching is, first of all, that everything, like what we believe, expect, think, say, do, all has another energy that is the reciprocal of that. It's every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? And so we're not teaching that so that people start to take that responsibility for those spaces. The other thing that I would say is layered into that, so there's no sense of consequence. consequence. There's no sense of ownership. And we're not, to go back to the modeling, we're not putting in a place that says, how do we, and I think to answer your one question, do we need this? Absolutely, because we need to step back and redefine what success looks like as well. We have created this path from the moment that kids are born that says, this is what success looks like. You need to have A's in school. You need to go to college. You need to look at this. And again, we're not looking at fundamentally how they have been given gifts and how to utilize those gifts in a way that's going to be meaningful, that actually is more about fulfillment and service. It's not about success as the way that we've structured it. And so I think, yes, we need to model that for our children. Yes, we need to understand consequence, and we need to stop using material rewards as a way to prompt a sense of connection and love. And we need to step back and say, what does really success mean? And how do we get into a more meaningful service space of love and connection and fulfillment, instead of the arbitrary ways that we've set up in our culture that says, you need to do this and this is the path, or be damned and you're going to be someone who's not in that space. And so I would just offer that additional layer to know that we need to realize that leadership is everyone's opportunity. It's not for a select few, and we need to redefine then, what does that mean for each of us to have that space to lead and be guided in that space?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we all have that effect. We all lead, we all are mentors, and they're looking up to us. And so how do we pass that down? I love that, the consequences, right? It's true that we're lacking in teaching the consequences and taking responsibility, not only for ourselves, but for the effects of the ripples of our drops. On that note, actually, and this one I'm just gonna toss out there because is kind of a follow-up question as to where the answers went. And I was thinking about it before, and now I know that I need to ask it. And if you can keep your responses, we're gonna move through, because we've only got about 15, 20 minutes, and I've got a few more questions I'd love to get through. So let's, I invite you to try to answer in maybe 3 to 5 sentences. Wealth and prosperity versus higher consciousness. Can we reach higher consciousness while enjoying wealth and prosperity, or do we need to go through those struggles of not having the wealth, not having the external prosperity in order to find a higher consciousness? Is that part of the journey? What would you say? Because that's very important for the youth to understand that, because, and as we're talking about redefining success, okay, so is higher consciousness more important? And if so, is that at the expense of being able to be successful in a business and working towards being a millionaire, or whatever that goal is? So again, I'm going to leave that to your inspiration as you want to step up and share.
So I'll let whoever's speaking go.
Candy,
no, I was going to say, I'm going to be real brief. I don't think there's a difference. And I don't look at wealth as being a millionaire. I look at wealth in terms of how you're living your highest consciousness and bringing the abundance required for you to do the work that is being asked of you. So for me, there is no separation between those two when you ask that question.
So being able to teach that the purpose for the wealth or the abundance, rather than having that be the end goal. Yes. Having it be a purpose-driven abundance, rather than the abundance being the end goal of having more money in a bigger house.
Well, and I'm going to just caveat that abundance can be the end goal, but I don't look at it as abundance as money. I look at abundance as being the most expansive version of yourself, putting your light into the world. So I guess it depends on how you choose to define abundance.
Right. Well, so yeah, just to clarify, so that was specifically the question was wealth and money and bigger house versus higher consciousness. So
and I'm just going to offer, you said
yeah,
wealth and prosperity, which again, for me, wealth and prosperity means something very different than money. So is the question, and I'm going to stop talking, but is the question wealth and prosperity and abundance, or is the question about money?
Okay, in my terminology, and I apologize for the semantics if there was a misunderstanding. In my terminology, if I say wealth, that I assumed that meant an abundance of money. So yeah, if I am wealthy, I have a lot of money. In the semantics of the literature I've read, obviously there is other wealth and other prosperity, but for these purposes, I would love to address the concept of external abundance in the physical world and seeking after that versus seeking the higher consciousness from the internal world. And yeah, because I just think that's a big issue that the coming generation is going to be dealing with a lot. So thank you for that clarification. That was wonderful. Perfect. Thank you.
And this is Gina. I agree that there is no difference. So again, I think we have to look at the fundamentals, the source. To me, money is energy. It's simply a vehicle to transfer energy. So if I come from a mindset and heart space of love is all, I mean, that is to me, the only truth, then higher consciousness is love, and abundance, wealth, money is also love. It's just how I choose to be a steward for that wealth transfer. And so if I choose to do it in love, it's not about the dollars in the bank. Most likely there will probably be more dollars in the bank because I am doing what brings me love and am a bigger conduit to channel those physical dollars. And it also inspires me to say that this is a piece that a lot of us, I think, humanity might be ready for, is to reevaluate our traditional mindset and heart space around what is money, what is abundance, what is wealth, and that we assume it might be separate when actually it could be all the same. Thank you.
Love that. Beautiful. Yes. Any other comments on that topic?
I do. I was waiting for Cecily to see if she wanted to jump in. So here, my perspective on it is that it's kind of like the big T versus the little t, the big T truth and the little t truth, so in Plato, I think. So the little t would be the dollars, the money. And the big T would be, love and spirit and purpose and giving from your heart. And so when the focus is on the big T, you could have all the little t you want, and it's just really, it's just Play-Doh. It's monopoly money. My dad used to say, this is all just a movie, and that's just monopoly money. And he would always get exactly the amount of money he needed, exactly when he needed it, right? So he wasn't worried about it. Everything that could come in exactly what he needed. So my view on this is, what's the soul's curriculum for the person? What is the soul's curriculum that this generation has come in to learn? They come in as a soul pod. They came in to learn together. I think they're learning how to find the big T. And so if they're looking for the big T and they're stuck on the little t, then they're probably going to have the little t taken away so that it's not a distraction anymore, right? And then they can realize the big T and then have plenty of little t's all over the place. So it's really just, where's your focus? Is your focus, a lot of the law of attraction stuff I've seen, people are very focused on the little t. It's like, I want to use this big T, this big awesome power to get a whole lot of little t's, because I'm really concerned with my material wealth and I'm concerned with my material safety. And that's why I'm doing this whole law of attraction thing anyway, is so I can get a bunch of those little t's. But the focus is in the wrong place. So when we focus on the big picture, on that, and this is what my dad tried to teach me for years, and he couldn't get it through my thick skull because I was so stubbornly affixed to the little t, to the money on the Monopoly board. And he's like, it's just money on a Monopoly board. But I couldn't get it because I was so addicted to it. So this is where if the person needs that lesson, yeah, they're going to get it all taken away so they can learn the lesson, because it's a very frustrating lesson to learn. But once you have it in right perspective, right alignment, you could have all the money in the world coming in and you're not attached to it. It's coming because there's a greater purpose and there's something is needed for, period.
Beautifully, beautifully put, and thank you. Yeah, could not agree more. Cecily, did you have something to add there?
Well, everything you, thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone. This is the energy that I really appreciate. So I'm grateful to be in this, this currency. And I'll just say it one more way. You know, that's been my life journey, is being unattached by the external conditions and circumstances, and even how I look. So I've used the way I look, the way I was meant to come in this world, to be disruptive, if you will, to be that outlier. So I've made choices. Just again, we talked about children. I just kept that, knowing that there was something about me that wasn't going to be in alignment. I was in my own alignment, which is actually the big T, truth. And so I've had the opportunity to move through what we would say are the institutions of power. I act, and also just making other choices to go live in a gang hotspot where I was, you know, didn't speak the languages going on around me. This was in Silicon Valley. So I was living in that one spot in Silicon Valley while working for a tech company. So I needed that, contrast, and I needed to put myself in places where I could be refined. And I'm told, oh, you white lady, you're coming in and live in this neighborhood just because you want to help us, you want to fix us. I had to own and listen to those deep stories that people feel when they're isolated and where they're living in one of the richest communities in the world and they're not getting any of the resources. We didn't even have great Wi-Fi or anything, with a huge digital divide in Silicon Valley. So to me, this is what we teach. I can only teach by my own choosing, and be continually transformed by the renewing of my own mind and heart, by the ways, my own choices that I make to be, you know, singular in my sovereignty and my agency, knowing that, you know, my purpose here is important, and be willing to share when asked, not to preach to anyone, but just to show that, you know, you can live what your inner calling is. So thank you so much.
Beautiful. Yeah, I actually, in my coaching and in my own life, I use the word, you know, green energy is what, you know, money is. It's like you said, it's an energy currency. And so literally the question was sitting in the shoes of my nieces and nephews and those growing up and seeing the world where it is. That's where a lot of them are coming from. And I appreciate your approach, and hopefully many of us will begin to teach in this new way. I really appreciate your wisdom in this. I saw that Jonathan joined. Jonathan, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? I've been holding my hand up.
Oh, good, you're back. Okay, we have just probably like one more question and then a quick final wrap. So happy that you're with us for this final question. The question, and this is obviously for the whole panel. So we talk about teaching this higher consciousness, or this you know, looking, you know, level 5 as Jonathan was talking about, or going to this space of knowing our inner self. And I'm curious to know what you think about, do we need to go through the level of external orientation? Do we need to go through those struggles and to navigate that level of consciousness before we can fully awake and fully step into the basically, so that we have something to detach from? When they say detachment, there has to be an attachment if you want to detach. And so as human beings, is that important to learn those lessons by going through the struggle before you step into that next space? And I think that'll be important as we teach the youth. Yes, you will go through this and then you will emerge and find that, and that's part of the process, or you don't have to go through it, jump straight to the next level. What would you have to say about that, especially as we teach the youth. Carrie, did you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Carrie, then Jonathan, please.
I would say, my new book is called Fierce Love, Healing the Mother Wound. And it's called that for a reason, because we all want like this perfect mom that just does everything for us and so nurturing and kind and looks at us just when we need it and validates our every single move. And we don't get that, do we? Because that's like impossible. So life is the same way. We come in to learn our soul's curriculum, and we're the only ones that can learn it. And some of that soul's curriculum is a steep hike up a big mountain, but we chose it. We chose it for a reason, because on the other side of that steep hike is wisdom, wisdom in our bag. And that wisdom is worth gold. It's worth more than gold. It's everything there is. It's like the only reason we're here is to gain that wisdom. So why would you want to not take the hike up the mountain? Why do you want to just like coast and like have your little game on your computer screen and just click, 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 get a bunch of little, that's even worse than collecting all the little Monopoly monies. It's like worse, right? Because it's not even real. It's just on some computer. So like, screw that, man. Like learn. Like come here and get your wisdom. That's what I say. I'll wrap it up, but I'm passionate about that. Get your wisdom.
Absolutely. Yes. All right. Not everyone has to agree with this, but I do. Please, anyone else? Jonathan, you had your hand up, please.
Yeah, I'll say no, you definitely don't need to go through it in any way, shape, or form, because in fact, it's an illusion, because love's the only thing that exists. So sin is not an action to be punished, but a perception to be corrected. So what is the perception? The perception that I'm separate from anything that could ever want, that I'm separate from love, that there's something other than love that exists. So forgiveness is the only way out of the illusion, but even forgiveness is an illusion because there's nothing to forgive. So I don't need to go through this stuff. All that is, remember, it shows up on the outside because it's the inside. Now, what's showing up on the outside that sucks so bad? Our own judgments, our own perception that I'm not worthy to have everything when you already do have everything. So we leave what is real in the pursuit of what appears to be. You inherited the entire kingdom, but we're like, I don't deserve it. So we create all these scenarios. See, most people don't ever, we show up in this world, we don't feel like we're worthy of love. So we're trying to get it the rest of our lives until we finally realize that we are it. But we set up all these scenarios we create problems just so we can fix them, because if I can fix enough problems, then I'll be worthy. So we're trying to earn our way to heaven when we're already there. So it's not necessary, and it's just an illusion in the first place.
I love that. That's other wonderful perspective. Thank you. Yes. And Candy, were you raising your hand there a second ago? No? Okay. I saw some movement. Anyone want to step in on this idea?
Sean, this is Gina.
Yes,
I would say that I'm a meld of both Jonathan and Carrie. Before I had intense life things that inspired me to kind of be on this path to fall more in love with myself. You could also call that personal development, spiritual development. For me, that's what it is this journey of falling more in love with myself all the time. And when I do that, then that's reflected outside. I can see the love in others. And that being said, starting on this path, like absolutely everything Carrie said is so right. And now being on this path for a while, every now and again, there's this opportunity. It's kind of like preventative medicine. There's this opportunity where I see a choice and I'm like, oh, I can go and live that lesson, or I can kind of, before I choose to take that step, do my internal work and see if that lesson is still there. Because if I glean the benefit of that lesson through a meditation practice, through choosing to be kind to somebody first, through whatever, then that lesson disappears because I received the negative of that lesson, just in a way different than going through the hardship. And trust me, the hardship is beautiful. I had very tough things happen as a kid, and I'm who I am now because of those things. And I'm so grateful for them. And I think as we keep growing and choosing to fall more in love with ourselves as human beings, we might be able to have this opportunity to understand that lesson without going through the hardships, although I don't think that should be the goal. Again, the goal is just falling in love with ourselves, however the universe presents that, and then choosing. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely. I wouldn't be the person I am if I hadn't gone through those tough times, right? Over the past decades, and so I embrace and appreciate the journey that I've been on. Same as what you're saying. Lovely. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else on that? If not, we'll jump to a final quick wrap up. You good? Okay. So I'm going to have you share with us just a final couple of sentences. What would you like to share? Anything that just some words of wisdom that maybe we can take with us. Perhaps it's a daily practice that we can actually apply, that will change our lives. Something simple. Something maybe more practical would be wonderful as we step away and leave our audience to take the wisdom into their lives. And then if you'd like to share how the audience can get in touch with you, some of you it's right there on your backdrop. Others, if you want to share that with us, so that if people are intrigued, they might be able to contact you afterwards. So 1 to 2 sentences, and then contact. So please go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, so I just want to say the practice I gave about opening sacred space, I just love is just a beautiful way to open your day and to invite help, because that's the main thing, invite help, invite support. And I say a little mantra I have is, I am a soul in a body and I came here to immerse in this experience. So no matter whether I like the experience or not in that moment, it really helps me remember, oh, that's right. I signed up for this. So I might as well experience it all rather than trying to avoid it. So that's my recommendation, is really experience it. And my website is carriehummingbird.com. So KERRI hummingbird.com.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Candy.
I'll go next because it'll play off what Carrie just said. The one thing I would offer people is that you create bookends every day. So start your day with morning intention and end your day with evening reflection. So make sure that you are starting your day truly connected to who you are and how you get to show up and serve. And then at the end of the day, it's that gratitude and it's that reflection around, I did everything I could at the best of my ability, and have gratitude for the service you could create. And so doing that every day allows you that deeper walk into your own path for spirituality. And then I would say, to get a hold of me, it's just candybarone.com, and it literally is spelled candybar1.com. So CANDYBARONE.
Beautiful. Love that. Thank you. And who would like to? There we go. Cecily.
I'll just say, similar to what's been shared, that I do have, every day is my life experience. And so I just be present in the now. I make sure I'm in the now, that everything that's going on around me, I'm connecting with it in my best self. And that does involve just practices that are unique for me. I honor everyone else's choice of how they connect with them in themselves to feel grounded and honoring of their body temple. And I'll just say, I see the light in all of us. And so I lift up your light, and I will be supporting all who are listening to this, and each of you panelists. I appreciate you, and let your light shine brightly in this world. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, can I go?
Please, Jonathan. Yes.
All right. Yeah, so I just put it in the chat that we're not growing, we're remembering. So imagine we're like a lighthouse walking around, or not walking, we're just being, but we got all this mud thrown at us. So really it's just peeling the mud off to remember who we are. So we're on a journey. That 5-level journey is a journey from where we are to where we are. It's just remembering where we've always been. We never left heaven. We've been there the whole time. So in that awakening process, just to enjoy it, because we think that it's about the destination, but then we're on level 3, we're like, oh no, it's about the journey. And then level 4, we're like, oh no, it's about who I've become along the journey. And then level 5 is like, oh, it's about who I've always been. So it's just loving whatever shows up and being present. This moment is, so all there is now. So it's about being present. Every moment is a gift. It's your job to figure out the gift. That's why it's called the present. So whatever shows up, say, if the only thing is real is love, the answer is love, please rephrase the question. How is this love?
Lovely. Thank you.
Oh, and Go to awakenedlifelive.com if you want to join. We got a 2-day full-on 12 hours a day of just power pack, just mind explosions and heart connections, and so healing. So it's awakenedlifelive.com. It's free. Come hang out with us. You're gonna love it. And then if you just want to take, if you're like, okay, John's too intense, like too much, I'll just let me just read his book. Just go to findyourpurposebook.com and you can get that for free too. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. And let's see here.
Can I go?
Yes. I was looking. I was like, wait. Yes, Gina, please.
Yeah, I would just encourage people to play with whatever those tools are that connect them to their best self, that soul oneness part of us. And whether it's using the tool Quick Connect, which I shared, or really so many people, when we just do what brings us joy, we get to that space. And so whatever that thing is for you, whatever that process is to connect you with your best self, with that soul oneness part of you, just practice that at least once a day. And honestly, things will be amazing if you practice that as much as possible throughout your day. Thank you.
Ah, wonderful. We have been richly fed today, and I am so thankful to each of our speakers. And we're going to go ahead and close now. Thank you so much for coming. You are amazing, and I hope thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of people get to benefit from this wisdom that has been shared today. Thank you for joining us, and